The battlefield was silent after the explosion. Smoke covered the broken alien city. Burning ships lay scattered across the ground. Emergency sirens echoed in the cold night air. In the middle of the destruction, Lyra lay on a broken metal platform. Her silver blue skin was fading into a pale gray. Her breathing was weak. Dark poison spread slowly through her veins. Alien medics rushed around her. One of them scanned her body again and again. He shook his head. "She will not survive," he said quietly. "The toxin is attacking her blood system. Her species cannot fight this." Lyra was not just any alien. She was the daughter of a powerful commander, strong, brave, proud, but now she looked small and fragile. Not far away, a human soldier watched everything. His name was Ethan Cole. His uniform was torn. Blood ran down his arm. His face was dirty with ash and smoke, but his eyes were focused only on Lyra. 2 hours earlier, she had saved his life. When enemy ships surrounded him, she pulled him to safety. She took the blast that was meant for him. Now she was dying because of it. The head medic spoke again. "There's only one option left." The other doctors turned toward him. He hesitated. Fresh human blood. The room went silent. One young medic stepped back. "That is illegal," she whispered. "Species blood mixing is forbidden by the Galactic Council." "It has never been tested properly," another added. "It could kill her faster." The machine beside Lyra suddenly beeped louder. Her heart rate dropped sharply. Ethan stepped forward. "How much blood does she need?" he asked. All alien eyes turned toward him. The head medic studied him carefully. "You understand the risk?" the medic asked. "Her body may reject it. Your blood cells are different, stronger, unstable." Ethan looked at Lyra's pale face. "She saved my life," he said calmly. "Now I will save hers." The medic hesitated. "If this goes wrong, her body may mutate. It may create something unknown." Ethan did not look afraid. "Do it." The medics quickly moved him beside her. They connected tubes between them. The human needle entered Ethan's arm. Dark red blood began to flow through the clear line. Alien blood was light blue. Human blood looked heavy and warm. When the first drops entered Lyra's system, the machines reacted instantly. Her body jerked. The monitor screamed. Her heart stopped. Cardiac failure. A medic shouted. The head doctor pressed emergency controls. Energy pulses moved through her chest. Ethan felt dizzy. He was losing blood quickly. "Stop it!" one medic yelled. "It is not working." But then, a sudden strong heartbeat filled the room. Boom. 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 The monitor changed color. Her heart started again, stronger than before. The poison levels dropped rapidly. The toxin inside her veins began to break apart. The alien doctors stared in shock. "It is neutralizing the poison," one whispered. Ethan's blood was attacking the toxin directly. Lyra's breathing slowly stabilized. Her skin color returned to silver blue. The danger was passing. But then something strange happened. The scanning machine began flashing a warning symbol. The medic looked confused. "That is not poison." He adjusted the settings. His eyes widened. "Her DNA is reacting." Inside Lyra's cells, something was changing. Human red blood cells were not just flowing. They were merging, connecting, rewriting small parts of her genetic code. "That is impossible," the young medic whispered. "Human blood should not integrate like this." The machine showed rapid cell division. Healthy, strong, faster than normal alien biology. Ethan felt weaker. Now his vision blurred, but he saw Lyra open her eyes for a brief second. They glowed faint red. Just for a moment. Then she fell unconscious. Again. The doctors quickly removed the tubes. Ethan collapsed onto the floor. Medics caught him, stabilized the human. Someone shouted. Minutes later, both patients were moved to separate recovery rooms. The battlefield outside was quiet now, but inside the medical center, Fear had started. The head doctor reviewed the scan again. He zoomed in on the data. Lyra's body had fully accepted the human blood. No rejection. No immune attack. Instead, it had bonded perfectly. As if her body had been waiting for it. One junior scientist ran into the room. "You need to see this," she said nervously. They checked Lyra's internal readings. Again, cell growth levels were increasing. Not in a dangerous way, but in a new way. Organ systems were becoming stronger. Her healing speed had doubled. Her blood composition now showed 2 active patterns. Alien. And human. The head doctor whispered softly, "This is not a simple transfusion." He paused. "This is a fusion." Outside the room, a communication alert arrived from the Galactic Council. They had already detected the illegal procedure. An investigation team was on the way. The doctor looked at Lyra through the glass. "She is alive," he said. "But something else has begun." Across the hall, Ethan lay unconscious, even in sleep. His body was already rebuilding lost blood quickly. Human biology was adaptable, resilient, powerful. No one in that building understood yet what truly happened. They thought they had broken law. They thought they had taken a risk. They did not realize they had changed history, because deep inside Lyra's body, human blood was not just healing her. It was creating something new, and the galaxy was not ready for it. Lyra did not wake up for 3 days. The medical room was quiet. Soft blue lights glowed around her bed. Machines scanned her body every second. Outside, security guards stood near the door. The Galactic Council had sent officials. They called it the human blood incident. Inside the recovery room, doctors whispered, "Her healing speed is not normal. Her cell growth is still active. She should be stable by now." But Lyra's body was still changing. On the 3rd night, her fingers moved. One nurse noticed. "First, doctor, she's waking up." Her eyes slowly opened. They were no longer soft silver. There was a faint red ring inside them. She inhaled deeply. Her chest felt powerful, stronger than before. She sat up suddenly. Too suddenly. The heart monitor spiked. "Easy," the doctor said gently. "You were dying." Lyra looked at her hands. She felt heat under her skin. Energy, like something alive inside her veins. What happened? Looked at her hands. She felt heat under her skin. Energy, like something alive inside her veins. She asked softly. The doctor hesitated. "A human gave you blood." Her expression changed. "The human soldier?" "Yes." She closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the explosion. She remembered pushing him away. "You should not have done that," she whispered, but she did not sound angry. She sounded confused. Across the hall, Ethan was awake too. His body had already replaced most of the lost blood. Human doctors were amazed. "You recovered too fast," one said. "That is normal for us," Ethan replied calmly. But he felt something strange. 2. A light pressure in his chest, like a connection pulling him somewhere. He did not understand it. Back in Lyra's room, tests continued. Scans showed her organs, working perfectly, better than before. Her muscles were denser, her immune system was stronger. But then a new alert appeared. The doctor froze. "That reading again." Another doctor stepped closer. "It looks like early cellular duplication. That is not possible." "It is not a tumor," the first doctor said. "It is organized growth." Lyra watched their faces. "Tell me," she said firmly. The doctor swallowed. "Your body is forming new life tissue." She frowned. "My species reproduces only through energy pairing, not like this." The doctor nodded slowly. "Yes, that is why this is impossible." The room became silent. Lyra's heart began beating faster. She felt a sudden warm pulse in her stomach. Not pain, not sickness, just warmth. Something gentle. Alive. At the same time, far away in the council chamber, alarms rang. A scientist projected Lyra's scan on a large screen. This is not simple healing. He explained. The human blood activated dormant genetic markers. Another official stood up. Dormant? From where? The scientist zoomed in. From ancient DNA layers. Very old, hidden deep. The council members looked uneasy. You saying humans are compatible with our biology? The scientist answered quietly, more than compatible. Back in the medical room, Lyra stood up from the bed. She felt steady, too steady. Her balance was perfect. Her strength felt controlled, but powerful. One guard tried to step closer. She gently pushed his hand away. The guard stumbled backward across the room. Everyone froze. She looked shocked at herself. I did not mean to. The doctor checked her readings again. Her muscle strength had increased by 40%. Her reflex speed was higher than elite soldiers. Human traits were integrating perfectly. Later that night, Lyra was left alone. She placed her hand slowly on her stomach. There. It was again. That warm pulse. Soft. Rhythmic. She closed her eyes, and suddenly she felt something else. A faint echo. Not a voice, not a sound, but a presence. Calm. Peaceful. Connected. At the same time. In his room, Ethan suddenly sat upright. His chest tightened. For 1 second, he saw a flash of light in his mind. Silver and red. Then it was gone. He breathed heavily. What is happening? He whispered. The next morning, the chief doctor entered Lyra's room with serious eyes. The council has ordered separation. From who? She asked. From the human. Her expression hardened. Why? Because whatever is growing inside you, it may be linked to him. She stood very still. Growing? The doctor finally said the word clearly. You are pregnant. The air felt heavy. Lyra did not speak. Her species had never reproduced. Like this. Never without bonding ritual. Never without genetic matching ceremony. This was biologically impossible, unless... The doctor looked at her carefully. The life form inside you is stable, strong, and showing hybrid markers. Hybrid. Human and alien. Lyra slowly turned toward the window. Outside, Ethan was being escorted down the hallway by security officers. She felt it again. That connection. Stronger now. Not romantic. Not emotional. Biological. Instinctive. Protective. The doctor continued quietly. The council is afraid. They believe this child could change power balance in the galaxy. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter red for a moment. They are afraid of a child? The doctor did not answer. In the hallway, Ethan resisted slightly. Where are you taking me? For questioning. He looked back once. At Lyra's door. He did not know why. But something inside him told him one thing clearly. She was not alone anymore, and neither was he. Inside the council chamber, one final message was sent. Secure the human. Contain the hybrid pregnancy. Prepare research division. They believed they were controlling the situation. They were wrong, because deep inside Lyra's body, the small life growing there was not weak. It was adapting. Faster than anyone expected, and it had already begun influencing both parents. The galaxy thought this was a mistake, but evolution had just taken its next step, and it started with human blood. The news spread across the galaxy in secret channels. Not public. Not official, but powerful leaders already knew. An alien female, pregnant from human blood. The Galactic Council called it a biological accident, but some called it something else. Evolution. Lyra was moved to a secure medical wing. No windows. No outside contact. 2 armed guards at her door at all times. They said it was for protection. She knew it was containment. Inside her body, the warm pulse was stronger now. It was steady. Calm. Alive. Every time she placed her hand on her stomach, she felt something new. Not just growth. Awareness. Across the facility, Ethan was locked in an isolated room. Metal walls, energy, barrier door. He was not treated as a criminal, but he was not free either. A council officer entered his room. Tall, cold eyes. You understand what you have done? Ethan stayed calm. I saved her life. The officer's voice sharpened. You may have created something dangerous. Ethan did not look afraid. Dangerous to who? The officer did not answer. Meanwhile, deep in the research lab, scientists studied Lyra's scans. The data was unbelievable. The hybrid cells were not fighting each other. They were cooperating. Human DNA was adapting to alien biology in real time, faster than any known science. One young scientist whispered, "It's like the human genome was designed to merge." The chief researcher silenced him immediately. Do not say that again, because if that was true, then humans were not weak outsiders. They were biological keys. That night, something strange happened. Lyra was asleep. Suddenly, the machines around her began to glitch. Lights flickered. Scanners reset. Energy readings spiked. Inside her womb, the hybrid child released a pulse. A wave of soft red light passed through her body. The guards outside the room froze. For 2 seconds, all electronic systems shut down. When power returned, everything seemed normal. Except the readings. The child's growth had accelerated, not dangerously, perfectly controlled. Almost intelligent. In his isolated room, Ethan suddenly felt a sharp pressure in his chest. He dropped to one knee. His vision blurred. For a moment, he saw flashes in his mind. Stars. Silver light and a tiny heartbeat. He pressed his hand against the wall. At the same time, Lyra woke up suddenly. She felt him. Not physically, but clearly. Their connection was growing stronger. The human blood had done more than create life. It created a bond. The next morning, the council held an emergency meeting. A military commander stood before the leaders. This hybrid child could be weaponized. Murmurs filled the chamber. If human adaptability combines with our advanced biology, he let the sentence hang, it could create the strongest life form in history. One elder council member spoke slowly, or it could bring unity. The commander ignored him. We cannot take that risk. The decision was made quietly. They would not destroy the child. That would create rebellion. Instead, they would control it. Raise it under council authority. Study it, shape it, use it. Back in her room, Lyra was informed. The child will belong to the council after birth. She stood very still. No. The doctor avoided her eyes. It is for the safety of the galaxy. Lyra's red-ringed eyes glowed brighter. My child is not your experiment. Guards stepped closer, but something stopped them. A sudden invisible pressure filled the room. Not violent, but powerful. The glass walls cracked slightly. The lights flickered again. The pulse came from inside. Her protective. The child reacted to her anger. The guards slowly stepped back. Fear had entered the room. In Ethan's cell, the Fendi same pulse hit him. He gasped for air, but instead of pain, he felt strength. His body temperature rose slightly. His heartbeat synchronized with another rhythm. He whispered softly, "I'm here." And somehow, Lyra felt it. Later that night, a secret group within the military contacted the council commander privately. We can extract the embryo early. It is risky, but it will give us full control. The commander considered it. Prepare. The surgical team. They believed Lyra was contained. They believed Ethan was isolated. They believed the child was powerless. They were wrong, because the hybrid life inside her was already developing awareness. It could sense threat. It could sense intention. And for the first time, it reacted with something new. Defense. As Lyra stood alone in her room, she felt a sudden cold sensation. Danger. Instinct told her something was coming. Outside, silent footsteps moved down the hallway. Medical team, military, escort. Emergency equipment. She closed her eyes. And for the first time, she did not feel fear. She felt protection. Inside her, the heartbeat grew stronger. Boom. Boom. The lights above her flickered red. Across the facility, alarms started ringing without command. In Ethan's room, the energy barrier door suddenly shut down. The system had glitched or been forced. He looked up slowly. He did not know how. But he knew one thing. The child was not weak. It was already changing the world around it. And tonight, everything would shift. The hallway outside Lyra's room was quiet. Too quiet. 6 armed guards stood ready. Behind them, a medical team waited with a floating surgical pod. The order was clear. Emergency. Extraction. No permission needed. Inside the room, Lyra stood near the center. She could feel it. Cold intention. Fear disguised as authority. Her hand rested gently on her stomach. The heartbeat inside her was calm, but alert. The door slid open slowly. The chief medical officer stepped inside. His voice was careful. "Lyra, please lie down." She did not move. "Why?" she asked. He avoided her eyes. "The council has decided early removal is safer." "For who?" she replied. The guards entered behind him, weapons lowered, but ready. Lyra's eyes glowed faint red again. "You will not touch my child." The commander stepped forward. "This is no longer your choice." At that exact moment, deep inside her body, the hybrid child reacted. Pulse moved outward. Soft. Then stronger. The lights exploded. The floor shook. Energy waves pushed the guards backward without touching them. Their weapons sparked and died. The medical pod crashed into the wall. Glass cracked across the room. Lyra did not move. She was not controlling it. The child was. Across the facility, alarms screamed. Systems failed. Doors locked and unlocked randomly. Security cameras turned off. In Ethan's holding room, the energy barrier flickered, then vanished. He stood still for 1 second. Then he ran. He did not know how it happened, but he knew who caused it. Back inside Lyra's room, the commander struggled to stand. "This confirms it," he shouted. "It is dangerous." Lyra looked at him calmly. "No," she said softly. "It is afraid." Her voice was steady. The pulse faded slowly. The room stopped, shaking, but something had changed. The guards were no longer confident. They were afraid of an unborn child. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Ethan appeared at the broken doorway, too unconscious. Guards lay behind him. He had not meant to hurt them, but his body felt different tonight. Stronger. Faster. Like adrenaline never ended. He stepped inside. Lyra turned toward him for 1 second. The entire world felt silent. The connection between them was clear now. Not romance. Not desire. Something deeper. Shared creation. Shared responsibility. "You felt it too," she said quietly. He nodded. "They were going to take it." "Yes." He stepped closer. "We are leaving." Security forces were gathering outside. Heavy boots. Energy rifles. The council had activated full lockdown. Lyra felt another wave building inside her, but this one was different. Not explosive. Focused. Targeted. She placed her hand over her stomach. "Again, it does not want to hurt anyone," she whispered. Ethan looked confused. "How do you know?" "I can feel it." She closed her eyes. The hybrid heartbeat slowed. Then synchronized. Boom. 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 The sound echoed softly in Ethan's chest. Then something incredible happened. The hallway lights dimmed in a straight line. Ahead of them. Like a path forming. Electronic locks along the escape route opened. One by one. The child was not attacking randomly. It was guiding them. Learning. Adapting. Protecting. They moved quickly. Through the corridor, soldiers aimed at them, but their targeting systems malfunctioned. Weapons overheated. Drones dropped from the air. Without power, the Council Command Center watched in shock. "This is not coincidence," one scientist whispered. "It is intelligent response." The commander's face darkened. "If it can already manipulate systems, He did not finish the sentence because he understood the truth. This child was not a weapon. It was evolution beyond control. Near the hangar bay. More guards blocked their path. This time, the hybrid pulse did not explode outward. Instead, the soldiers froze. Not paralyzed. Not harmed. Just overwhelmed. A deep calm passed over them. Their anger faded. Their fear softened. They lowered their weapons. Slowly, Lara felt tears in her eyes. "It is not built for war," she whispered. "It is built for balance." Ethan activated a small transport shuttle. Engines hummed to life. Alarms screamed across the base. Council ships began sealing the hangar exit. Time was running out. Lara stepped into the shuttle. She felt one last strong pulse. But this time, it did not break machines. It reached outward, into the Council network, into their systems. Across their planet, every screen flickered, and for 1 second, every living being felt it. A calm presence, a heartbeat, not threatening, not violent. Just alive. In the Council chamber, silence filled the air. The commander stared at the screens. "This cannot be allowed," he whispered, but deep inside, even he felt it. The pulse did not feel like destruction. It felt like something new, something the galaxy had never known. The shuttle blasted forward. Breaking through the hangar shield at the last second. Stars filled the window. Freedom. For now. Inside the shuttle cabin, Ethan sat beside Lara. They were both breathing heavily, but safe. She looked at him softly. "It protected us." He nodded. It protected itself. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, the Council declared one thing. The hybrid must be captured. At any cost. But they had already made a mistake. They tried to control something that was not born for control. And now the galaxy would begin to change, because the child had taken its first step, not as a weapon, but as a force no one could command. The shuttle moved fast through hyperspace. Blue light stretched outside the windows. Inside the cabin, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Lara sat in the co-pilot seat. Her hand rested gently on her stomach. The heartbeat inside her was steady. Boom. Boom. Ethan checked the navigation system. "They are tracking us," he said calmly. Long-range scanners showed 3 Council warships behind them. Fast. Heavy. Armed. "They will not stop," Lara replied. Ethan nodded. "They are afraid." Suddenly the shuttle shook. A warning alarm flashed red. "Tracking lock," the system announced. The Council ships had entered hyperspace behind them. Missile systems charging. Lara closed her eyes. She did not feel panic. She felt something else. Awareness. The child inside her was not scared. It was focused. On the main Council ship, the commander watched their signal. "Disable their engines," he ordered. "We need the hybrid alive." Energy cannons powered up. Back inside the shuttle, Ethan pushed the engines harder. "But their small transport ship was not built for war. They will catch us," he said quietly. Lara placed her other hand over his. "Wait," she whispered. He looked at her. "What are you doing?" She shook her head slowly. "It is not me." Inside her body, the hybrid child changed rhythm. The heartbeat became faster, but controlled. Boom. Boom. Then a soft wave moved outward. Not violent, not explosive. Gentle. Like a ripple in water. Outside the shuttle, hyperspace began to distort. Blue tunnel bent slightly around them. The Council ship's targeting systems flickered. Navigation error. A pilot shouted, "Our lock is unstable." The commander stared at the screen. How is a transport ship bending hyperspace? But it was not the ship. It was the life inside it. Back in the shuttle, Ethan felt pressure in his chest again. But this time, it did not hurt. It felt like energy flowing through him. His mind became clear. Sharp. He suddenly understood something. "It's not attacking them," he said softly. Lara opened her eyes. "It's adjusting space." The hybrid was not using force. It was adjusting gravity around them. Small changes. Precise. Impossible for normal biology. The shuttle moved faster without increasing engine power. Behind them, the warship struggled to stabilize. In the Council command room, scientists were shouting, "This is not technology. It is biological output." The commander's face turned pale. If it can influence hyperspace before birth. He did not finish, because he knew what that meant. This child was not a weapon. It was a new stage of life. Inside the shuttle, the pulse slowed again. The distortion faded. The warships were now far behind. Ethan lowered his hands from the controls. "We lost them." Lyra breathed deeply. She looked down at her stomach. "You saved us again," she whispered. For a brief second, she felt something new. Not just awareness. Emotion. Warmth. The child responded to her voice. Hours later, they exited hyperspace near an uninhabited moon. A quiet place. Gray surface. Distant stars. Safe for now. Ethan landed the shuttle gently. Silence filled the cabin. No alarms. No warship's dullness. He turned to Lyra. "You need rest." She nodded. But she did not look tired. She looked thoughtful. "I felt its thoughts," she said softly. Ethan frowned slightly. "Thoughts?" "Yes, not words, but intention." He sat beside her. "What kind of intention?" She smiled faintly. "Protection." As they stepped outside onto the moon's surface, something strange happened. The air around them shimmered lightly. The gravity felt softer. Easier. Lyra paused. She looked at the stars. The child's heartbeat echoed stronger here. Boom. Boom. Suddenly, the ground beneath them glowed faint red. Just for a second, Ethan stepped back. "What was that?" Lyra looked amazed. "It is reaching outward." Across space, small gravitational waves spread gently from their location. Not strong enough to destroy, but strong enough to be detected. Far away, in deep space, ancient monitoring stations activated. Old alien civilizations had once predicted something like this, a life form that could balance biological and cosmic energy. And now, it was real. Back on the Council flagship, emergency reports arrived. "We lost visual, but we detected gravitational fluctuation near Sector 7. The commander slammed his hand on the console. "It is learning too fast." One elder scientist spoke quietly. "You cannot cage evolution." The commander looked at him sharply. "It must be controlled." But even he no longer sounded certain. On the moon's surface, Lyra suddenly felt a sharp pulse. Different from before. Not defensive. Not protective. Warning. She held her stomach. Ethan stepped closer. "What is it?" She looked at the sky. "Something else felt us." The stars above flickered faintly. Not natural. Not normal. In the darkness beyond visible space. Something ancient had noticed the hybrid signal. Not the Council. Not soldiers. Something older. Watching. Waiting. Ethan followed her gaze. "You think they are still tracking us?" She shook her head slowly. "No." Her voice was calm. "Not them."
"They..."
Heartbeat inside her grew stronger. Boom. 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 This time, it did not feel defensive. It felt curious. The child was not just surviving. It was connecting. To space. To energy. To something far beyond both of them. And somewhere in the deep void, something responded. A faint pulse echoed back. The galaxy had just taken notice, and whatever was coming next was not controlled by the Council. The moon was silent. Cold gray ground stretched under endless stars. Lyra stood still, looking at the sky. Ethan watched her carefully. "You felt something," he said quietly. She nodded. "Yes. Something old." The heartbeat inside her was steady, but now it carried a second rhythm, a distant echo, like someone answering from far away. Suddenly, the air around them changed. The stars above shifted slightly, not moving, but aligning. Lines of faint light connected. Between them. Ethan stepped back. What is happening? Lyra did not look afraid. It is not an attack. Her voice was calm. It is communication. Above them, space folded gently, not like a ship arriving, not like hyperspace. Travel. It was softer. Like reality was opening a window. From the opening, a faint structure appeared. Transparent. Massive. Ancient. It did not look like metal. It looked alive. An old station hidden between dimensions. On the Council flagship. Alarms exploded again. Unknown spatial structure detected. It was not there before. The commander stared at the projection. That location. That's where the hybrid signal was last recorded. One elder scientist whispered, "It has awakened something." Back on the moon, a soft beam of pale light descended from the ancient structure. It did not burn. It did not harm. It surrounded Lyra gently. Ethan stepped forward, ready to pull her away, but she raised her hand slightly. "It knows us." Inside her, the hybrid child reacted. Boom. 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 The rhythm matched the light. Then, for the first time, a clear thought formed in her mind. Not hers, not Ethan's, but small. Calm. Curious. We are not new. Lyra gasped softly. Ethan looked at her. "What is it?" She placed her hand over her stomach. "It is speaking." Inside the ancient structure, systems older than the Council began activating. Records played. Images formed in the air around them. Ethan saw early Earth, primitive humans, but above them, alien figures. Watching. Studying. Not attacking. Designing. Lyra's eyes widened. Humans were altered. The images shifted. Millions of years ago, an ancient species seeded adaptable DNA across multiple worlds. Most species rejected it, but one planet embraced it. Earth. Human DNA was not random evolution. It was adaptive. Code. Built to merge. Built to survive any environment. Built to connect species that could not connect alone. Ethan stared at the vision. So we were created? Lyra shook her head slowly. Not created, prepared. The ancient voice echoed again, not in sound, but thought. Balance requires bridge. The hybrid child glowed faintly under Lyra's skin. Its cells were not mutating, they were unlocking. Hidden genetic layers in both species were activating. The ancient structure had been waiting for a signal like this, a successful merge, a true bridge. And it had finally happened. On the Council ship, panic spread. If this is true, one scientist said, then humans are not lower species. They are universal adapters. The commander felt something he had never felt before. Uncertainty. For centuries, the Council believed they were the highest form of life. Now they were seeing proof that humans were key to something far greater. Back on the moon, the light faded. Slowly. The ancient station did not disappear. It simply watched. Lyra felt warmth inside her. Not defensive. Not afraid. Purpose. Ethan stepped closer. What does it want? She answered softly. It doesn't want control. It wants connection. The hybrid child sent another pulse. This one was gentle. It reached toward the ancient structure. The structure responded. Small. Fragments of knowledge flowed back. Star maps, energy, systems, healing technologies far beyond Council science. The child was not being taught. It was remembering. Ethan felt something change inside himself too. His chest felt lighter, his thoughts clearer. For the first time, he understood why human blood merged so perfectly. Humans were not weak newcomers. They were designed to unify different biological systems. Lyra looked at him with new understanding. That is why my body accepted your blood. He nodded slowly. It was meant to. Suddenly, a new signal appeared, but this one was aggressive. Council warships were returning. They had traced the gravitational fluctuation again. The commander had made his choice. If we cannot control it, he ordered, we destroy the ancient structure. Energy cannons powered up. They aimed at the station. On the moon, Lyra felt the shift instantly. They are coming. Ethan looked at the sky. Bright lights appeared in orbit. The child's heartbeat changed. Not fear, not anger, decision. The ancient voice echoed one final time. Bridge must choose. Lyra closed her eyes. She felt two paths: hide and survive. Quietly. Or reveal their existence fully. Change the galaxy forever. Ethan placed his hand over hers. No matter what happens, he said softly, we stand together. She smiled faintly. The hybrid pulse grew stronger. Boom, boom, boom. Above them, the ancient station began powering up. Not weapons, something else. A broadcast across the entire galaxy. If activated, every civilization would see the truth about humans, about the ancient design. About the bridge. Council ships charged their cannons. Time was running out. Lyra opened her eyes. They wanted control, she said calmly, but they awakened destiny. The child inside her made its first independent choice, and space itself began to glow. The council warships surrounded the ancient structure, weapons charged. Energy cannons glowed bright white. On the moon below, Lyra stood still. Ethan stood beside her. The ancient station above them pulsed softly. The hybrid heartbeat inside her became powerful. Boom, boom, boom. This time it was not defensive. It was ready. On the flagship, the commander gave the final order: fire. 3 massive energy beams shot toward the ancient structure. The sky turned white. Ethan shielded Lyra with his body, but something impossible happened. The beams slowed, not stopped. Slowed. As if space itself had become thicker. The hybrid pulse expanded outward, not like before. This was different. This was controlled. Precise. The beams bent around the ancient structure. They curved into the empty sky. No explosion. No destruction. Just redirection. The council crew stared in silence. That is not shielding, a scientist whispered. It is spatial rewriting. On the moon, Lyra suddenly fell to one knee. Ethan caught her. It's time, she said softly. The birth had begun, but there was no pain, only energy. Warm light spread across her body. The ground beneath them glowed again. The ancient station lowered. A final beam of pale light. Not to control, to support. The hybrid child was not just being born. It was synchronizing with the ancient network across the galaxy. Screens flickered. Every civilization saw the same image. A human. An alien, standing together, and above them, an ancient structure awakening. The broadcast had begun. In the council chamber, leaders watched in shock. They heard the ancient voice clearly. Now, for the first time in history. Species divide created imbalance. Bridge restores balance. Images filled the air. Ancient history. The seeding of adaptable DNA on Earth. The purpose of human resilience. The hidden design written in human blood. Humans were never meant to dominate. They were meant to connect. On the moon, Lyra cried out softly. Not in pain. In release. A pulse exploded outward. But this one was different from all the pulse exploded outward. Others. It did not disable weapons. It did not bend gravity. It touched minds. Across the warships, soldiers lowered their weapons. Their fear faded. Anger softened. Not forced. Not controlled. Simply calmed. The pulse carried. No command. Only understanding. A small light formed in Lyra's arms. The hybrid child was born. Its skin shimmered, silver and red. Its eyes glowed gently. Not bright. Peaceful. When it opened its eyes, the ancient station above responded. The stars around them aligned once more. The galaxy felt it. Not as power. As harmony. Ethan looked at the child. He felt tears in his eyes. He had given blood, but he had not known. He was giving something greater. Lyra looked down at her child. This is not a weapon, she whispered. This is a bridge. The child reached out a tiny hand. The air around it shimmered again. But this time, it did something simple. The warship systems restarted normally. No malfunction. No damage, only reset. The message was clear. It did not want destruction. It wanted balance. On the flagship, the commander slowly lowered his head. He understood now. If they attacked again, they would prove their fear. If they accepted, they would step into something new. He gave a quiet order. Stand down. The warships powered down their cannons. Across the galaxy, the broadcast continued. Civilizations saw the truth. Humans were not weak. They were not accidents. They were the missing piece, the adaptable key that allowed species to evolve together. Ancient structure slowly faded, back into hidden space. Its purpose completed. It waited for millions of years, and the signal had finally come, from a human's blood, from a choice to save, a life. Not from war, not from conquest, but from sacrifice. On. The quiet moon. Ethan and Lyra stood together. The child rested calmly. The stars above were peaceful again. The galaxy had changed in one night. Not through force, through connection. Lyra looked at Ethan softly. You saved more than me. He shook his head. No. He looked at the child. We saved each other. The hybrid heartbeat was steady. Boom. Boom. Strong. Balanced. Alive. And for the first time in galactic history, humans were no longer seen as fragile outsiders. They were recognized as the bridge between worlds. Not conquerors. Not rulers, but necessary. And the future of the galaxy would never be divided again, because human blood did not bring chaos. It brought unity. And unity was stronger than fear.